going on, guys? BSing Sports with Brandon Swift. Bill, as always, Bill, what jersey are you rocking today?
I've got my number 10 JT Realmuto jersey that arrived today.
Perfect. Can't complain about that. I got Aaron Nola, opening day starter, hanging in the back. I'm wearing Cliff Lee, an old Philly. So had to change up the jersey schemes there a little bit. In this week's podcast, it's opening day special, baby. We're filming the day before opening day. We're going to do some predictions, who we think is going to win each matchup. We're going to talk a little bit about like particular matchups that we like more than others, and then we're going to go over some individual hardware for the end of the season. Bill, why don't you tell us about the first matchup? Who's playing?
Yeah, so the first game we got on the docket here is the Toronto Blue Jays visiting the New York Yankees. We've got Ryu at 5-2 and a 2.69 ERA last year for the Blue Jays, facing off against Garrett Cole with a 7-3 2.84 ERA last year against the Yankees. My prediction here is that, especially with the Yankees being home and Garrett Cole on the hill, I think the Yankees win. I don't think it's a particularly explosive Yankees win. I'm predicting probably 5-3, 5-4, Yankees go.
Yeah, I agree with the outcome and about how it's going to go. You know, Garrett Cole's been an elite pitcher for the last 2 years in the MLB. Hyun-Jin Ryu has been very good in his own right. However, I do think the Blue Jays bullpen has some questions, so I could see the Yankees blowing this game open late. Give me 4-1, 5-1, but I'm going Yankees as well.
Okay.
Next matchup we got Indians at Tigers. Not much needs to be said about this. Reigning AL Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber taking the hill. He was only 8-1 with a 1.63 ERA, so he weighs more than what his ERA was. Versus Matthew Boyd, who had promised, a couple of years ago and has since fallen off a cliff, probably because he plays in Detroit. But there's not much to be said. Indians should dominate this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Reigning Cy Young winner, like you already said, Bieber on the hill, and the Tigers just being the Tigers. There's not much to discuss here. You've already said it. The Tigers aren't going to compete with a lot of teams this year. So I'm probably looking like a 7-1 win here in favors of the Indians.
I was going to say 6-1 or 7-1. Bieber's going to deal. I see 10 plus strikeouts. If you got DraftKings, put him in your lineup, pay the price for it. He's legit.
Yeah. Next game we got going on here. We got the Baltimore Orioles visiting the Boston Red Sox. For the Orioles, we got Means at 2-4, 453 on the hill versus Evaldi, 4-2, 372 on the hill for the Red Sox. Ryan and I actually disagree on this one. I'm going to take the Red Sox and Evaldi winning handily against the Orioles here. I'm thinking maybe a 5-1 victory here in Boston.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that to Vegas if I were a betting man. The Orioles do have some young talent in that lineup. Anthony Santander and Ryan Mountcastle, as we'll get into a little bit later. But Nathan Evaldi's been shaky the last couple of years. I know 4.2, 3.72 says, wow, he's pitched okay. But he's had a lot of ups and downs. He's been hurt some. And if he comes out effective, the Red Sox could win. But I don't know. I could see the Orioles pulling an upset here. I'll go 6-4 Orioles. I'll go 6-4 Orioles.
Okay.
That leads us into our next matchup, Twins Brewers. The numbers are a little not telling in this one. Kenta Maeda, 6-1, 2.7 ERA last year. Brandon Woodruff, 3-5, but his ERA was 3.05. The Brewers offense got off to a slow start. He was losing a lot of games, not by his own fault. So the numbers are a little skewed here. However, go ahead and give me the road team. I'm going to pick the Twins. I believe Maeda's going to deal very well. And we got to see what that Brewers lineup looks like without Lorenzo Cain. I know they just added Jackson Bradley Jr., but I'm almost 100% certain Lorenzo Cain's going to miss about a week or so. He was dealing with some back issues in spring training. So go ahead and give me the Twins, 5-3.
Okay, I'm actually going to go the home team here with the Brewers. As you pointed out, Brandon Woodruff is on the hill, and I said this a couple weeks ago that while a lot of people think Woodruff has been overperforming, I think that's just the type of pitcher he is. He's going to be competitive. He's going to pitch well, and I think at home they get the win. They do get what is supposed to be a healthy Christian Yelich back in the lineup, and I think that speaks wonders for the team overall. So like I said, Brandon Woodruff and the Milwaukee Brewers taking the win here. I'm probably thinking a 5-3 game.
Yeah, I could see it both ways, but I just think the Twins lineup, has a bunch of power into it. It's the next matchup.
We have the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting the Chicago Cubs. Now, I need to tell you guys, I don't care about this game at all. I don't care for the Pirates. I don't care for the Cubs. It's not that I dislike them. I just care so little about the teams in general that I just don't care what happens in this game. Having said that, Pirates are sending Cool to the Hill, 2-3, 427 last year. Not an impressive stat line. Versus Hendricks, 6-5, 288. The Cubs lost a lot of games. He was on the hill. But again, 288, that's not a fault of his when they don't score 3 runs. I mean, it's not necessarily his fault there. So because the Pirates aren't going to be impressive this season, I'm going to go with the Cubs at home in a 5-4 type fashion.
Yeah, had anybody besides Kyle Hendricks started this game, as you pointed out, 2.88 ERA, the Cubs bullpen lost him quite a few games last year. That's going to happen again this year quite frequently. I think they're even worse than they were last year. And had anybody else besides Kyle Hendricks started this game, I might have even gone Pirates, but I'm going Cubs here. Hendricks is going to, dominate them for 6-7 innings. The bullpen will give up some runs. Hopefully, I believe they're going to be like the Phillies bullpen of last year, not to the same extent, but I think they'll be bad. Not much to say about this game, though. Go ahead, give me Cubs 5-1.
Okay.
Moving on from that matchup is our boys. We got the Braves at the Phillies. We got Max Fried coming off an undefeated season. Granted, it was a shortened season, but undefeated nonetheless, 7-0, spouting a 2.25 ERA. So he definitely pitched very well and on his own to back it up. And I'm sure he got a ton of offensive support with that good lineup going off against the ace, Aaron Nola, who could pitch a little bit better than he did last year. 5-5, 3.28 ERA is nothing to bat an eye at. It's not bad. It's not great. He needs to come back to his 2018 form a little bit, but this is going to be a good matchup. I'm going Phillies just because Nola has a tendency to dominate the Braves on opening day. And as long as Gabe Kapler does not come back to this team and pull this man way too early, that's a nightmare. As long as he doesn't, come out of this game earlier than he should be just fine. Go ahead, give me the Phillies. I'm going to say 3-2. I don't think they score that many runs off the lefty.
Okay. I also am going to go the Phillies here. As you pointed out, and for the fans that don't know, Aaron Nola was pitching a gem a couple years back when Gabe Kapler was the manager, pitching a gem against a good Braves lineup at that point in time. And for no reason at all, Gabe Kapler decided to pull Nola in the 6th, and the Phillies went on to lose that game. Again, first of all, the fact that we're talking about it still to this point in time is ridiculous. But having said that,
63 pitches, 6 strikeouts, and Kapler, we were up 5-0. Kapler gave him the hook, and we lost the game 6-5. And I think from that point on, everybody knew Gabe Kapler was going to get himself fired.
Correct. Yeah, I think we did. I am also going Phillies. I'm going Aaron Nola to throw a gem, to not get pulled super early. And I also think it'll be a low-scoring game. I'm thinking 3-1 in favor of the Phillies.
He's got a lot of good numbers against that lineup, too. I think Freddie Freeman's barely hitting above 200 against Nola for his career.
Which is impressive because Freeman hits everybody.
And they're in the same division, so that's a lot of at-bats against one pitcher.
Yeah. Next game on the this game is a joke. So we have the Los Angeles Dodgers visiting the Colorado Rockies. You guys have heard us talk about the Rockies at this point. Clayton Kershaw, 6-2, 2.16 ERA versus Marquez at 4-6, 3.75 ERA. Ryan, I know you like Marquez. I know you do. I just don't think he gets the job done. I'm thinking the Dodgers go in there and handles business, and they score 9 runs and win 9-1, maybe 9-2.
Quite frankly, I don't even think all the people in Colorado would pick the Rockies to win this game. Rockies is the perfect team name because that's going to describe how their season's going to go starting day one. I agree that the Dodgers should blow them out. German Marquez isn't bad. I think he's plagued a little bit by being on a bad team. A 3.75 ERA isn't a terrible middle or rotation guy. The 4-6 record is. He expects something like that throughout the year, but yeah, the Dodgers are no joke, and they're gonna pound a lot of pitchers this year starting on opening day. Go ahead and pencil me in for, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers put up a 10 spot. So I'll say 10-2. Moving on from that, another NL West homer, Madison Bumgarner takes the ball for the D-backs. He was terrible last year. I'll get into his numbers a little bit. Being opposed by Yu Darvish, who was amazing last year. So on paper and in reality, this looks like a really bad matchup. Bumgarner 1-4 with an ERA over 6. and Darvish 8-3 with an ERA that's at 2, basically 2.01. Just on paper, like I said, not a close matchup. I don't think Bumgarner bounces back because his velocity has dropped a lot over the last few years, 6 to 7 miles an hour, and he's only 30 years old, so that's a bit of a concern. But yeah, just give me the Padres. I'm thinking 6-2 ish, maybe. But Darvish is going to pitch a gem against a Diamondbacks lineup that's not very good either.
Yeah, I agree. Darvish is going to shut that lineup down convincingly. He probably goes 7 innings and still only throws somewhere around 80 pitches. I just don't think they let him go longer on the sake of saving his arm at this point in the season, especially since I think they'll be up by 7 runs at that point. A little bit on Madison Bumgarner. As a Phillies fan, I know, Ryan, you can relate. This guy used to torture us in the playoffs. Back-to-back years, he ended our season. So it's
him, Tim Lincecum, and Matt Cain made up a dynamic trio from 2010 to 2015. That was insane. And they all did it 3 different ways too. That's probably my most hated pitching trio of all time. I wasn't alive long enough to witness the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz trio, so I don't hate them as much. But plus, they're 3 Hall of Famers. I mean, Lincecum, Cain, and Bumgarner are not going to be Hall of Famers, so they're not as respected.
Yeah.
That being said, let's
staff. Sorry. All right, moving on to the Cardinals and Reds. So you got the St. Louis Cardinals visiting the Cincinnati Reds. You got Jack Flaherty, who Ryan and I have already discussed as an ace in the MLB. Flaherty 4-3, 4.91 ERA last year is not super telling. He got beat up a little bit early, but he really honed it in at the end there. Versus Castillo at 4-6 and 3.21. I think the Cardinals go into Cincinnati and get it done. Great American Ballpark. I'm calling a 6-4 game in favor of the Cardinals. I just think the lineup, as we've discussed, Arenado, Goldschmidt, them guys they're gonna go in there and get at least 6 runs, and I don't think the Reds are going to get 4 or more than 4 on the Cardinals pitching staff.
Yeah, so I'm kind of back and forth on this game too. I'm a little more bullish on the Reds than you are. However, Jack Flaherty is kind of interesting because if you remember 2 years ago, he started off kind of slow, and then I think in the second half of the season, in like 90 innings pitched, I think he had like 8 earned runs allowed the whole season. His ERA was under 1. He went on this stupid stretch. It was nuts. So I think maybe he just might be a guy that starts a little slow throughout his seasons, and that's why his numbers are a little inflated from the short season. So go ahead and give me the Reds in this one. With that being said, Luis Castillo is a very good pitcher, high 90s fastball, nasty changeup. However, I do not think that this is going to be, a barn burner affair. Go ahead and give me 3-1, 3-2, 4-2. No team scoring more than 4 runs here, but the Reds offense will put up some runs. And if Jack Flaherty is indeed a slow starter, then I could see the Reds winning this game at home.
Okay.
That being said, we're going to move on to another really useless game that has to happen because teams do have to play 162 games. The Rangers and the Royals. Kyle Gibson, 6-2, 5.35. If that's your opening day starter, that's pretty telling about what your team looks like. Versus Brad Keller, who was 5-3 with actually a 2.47 ERA. So that's a really, really good ERA, and the record is a little bit unproportional. Go ahead and give me the Royals here. The Rangers are terrible. The Royals added a couple pieces. Hopefully we see Bobby Witt Jr. at some point. I doubt it, but that'd be kind of nice. And they added Andrew Benintendi. Hopefully he gets back to his old ways of hitting the balls into the gap instead of trying to hit it over the fence. But I'm thinking 6-1 maybe. This shouldn't be a close game even for a team like the Royals.
Yeah, I said it the other day or 2 weeks ago with our division by division predictions. The Rangers' new stadium is wonderful. It's beautiful. It's ready to go. The Rangers team is not. So if the Rangers get 1 run, it's because Joey Gallo hits a solo shot. Other than that, give me 7-1 even for the Royals in this game. The Rangers are just not going to put up a fight against a lot of teams. They're just not a good team.
Joey Gallo is my dark horse to lead the league in home runs. Unfortunately, he will be pitched around a lot because the rest of the lineup is not good.
Well, maybe not because they'll be losing by 30 runs a game. So
yeah, that could happen too. Pitched to everybody.
Next game, we got a little in-town Florida matchup. Tampa Bay Rays are visiting the Miami Marlins. The Rays are going to send Glass now, 5-1 with a 4.08 ERA to the hill against Sandy Alcantara of the Marlins at 3-2, 3.0 ERA. I discussed this a couple weeks ago, as we discussed a ton of stuff when we did our predictions for baseball, that the Marlins benefited very much from a shortened season. 1/3 of their season, they started off hot. They were real hot. They made it to the playoffs on the original run. I just don't think that they're going to be able to sustain that for a long season, and the Rays just find ways to win. End of story, end of statement, regardless of how good Glasnow is going to pitch. The Rays just find ways to win. So I think they go into Miami. They probably win 5-2.
Yeah, well, they also find ways to lose. See Game 6 of the World Series and Blake Snell being pulled early. Speaking of being pulled early, that was atrocious. But I also have the Rays winning this game. I agree 100% with what you said. Actually, I know you usually say that to me, but vice versa this time. Yeah, the Marlins, short seasons can do wonders. They can really hurt you too. It's basically if you get hot the first 20 games, well, congratulations. That's like a third of the season, so your numbers are going to look more inflated, and vice versa. If you start off really slow, see Christian Yelich, you're going to have a really bad season, and it works the same way with teams as does players. So I do believe that the Marlins slid in on the back of a short season. I think the long stretch, the dog days of July and August will catch up with them. They're still a young team. So go ahead and give me the Rays here. I think Glasnow hits double-digit strikeouts, and the Rays win probably 5-2.
Yeah.
That being said, moving on to the premier pitching matchup on paper, that is, Mets at Nationals. Jacob deGrom, you can write his name in pen for opening day starts as long as he's in New York. Going up against Mad Max. Max Scherzer, 5-4, 3.74 ERA. deGrom is 4-2 with a 2.38. Go ahead and give me the Mets. I believe Francisco Lindor finally puts them over the top for them to score runs for deGrom. However, Mad Max is no joke, as we stated before. I think opening day, coming off the long rest of the offseason, he might be healthy for now. And I see 2-1, maybe 3-1. But go ahead and give me the Mets.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. I think the Mets go to Washington. Scherzer's getting old. We don't know how much left he's got left in the tank. I think that the Nationals should have gone with Steven Strasburg. I think that would have been a better matchup, in my opinion. I think Strasburg is now the ace of that team. I think they just went with Scherzer strictly on hey, you've done it the last 3 years. Here's the ball for your next outing. But I think deGrom goes in there and dominates that lineup, probably wins the game 4-1.
Okay.
Moving forward, we got Chicago White Sox going to the Los Angeles Angels. Lucas Giolito, 4-3, 3.48 ERA versus Dylan Bundy, 6-3, 3.29 ERA against the Angels. So I go back and forth on this one constantly. And just so you guys understand, we recorded an entire show 25 minutes ago, and I'm changing my answer from what I said then. I'm going to go with the White Sox going into LA and taking the win from the Angels. Yes, I understand that the Angels have a lot of firepower in that lineup. However, Lucas Giolito is going to be a top 3 pitcher this year. And I think Lucas Giolito gets it done on the road. Give me a 3-2 game.
I think as far as running your aces out there goes, I think this ends up being a little bit more high scoring than most of the games will be on opening day. It's funny, we just recorded the show. I'm going to flip-flop to the Angels because I, too, am also back and forth on this. Dylan Bundy had a resurrection year over in LA last year. He's 6-3 with a 3.29. Giolito was good in his own right, 4-3 with a 3.48. But I don't know. Trout, Rendon, Ohtani, healthy. I think that lineup gets it done. Give me 6-5. But if I'm wrong, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. This isn't like me saying the Rangers are going to lose and they turn out winning. Like, oh wow, that made me look dumb. But if I'm wrong here, I'm good with it. But I do think that the Angels pull this out. Give me 6-5.
Okay. I do have some minor news. I just got an update on my cell phone here, which is why I'm looking down. I know a lot of you might be watching and wondering why I'm looking at my phone. Apparently, the Washington Nationals have been hit with a string of COVID cases on their flight to New York. So they haven't said who on the team has been affected by it, but let's keep track of that. And hopefully, hopefully Scherzer, who was not on the flight, is the starter tomorrow.
All right, give me the Mets 6-1.
All right, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but live information.
No, that's big news. That's got to be reported. Good call, Bill. Anyway, moving on to the next game, AL West matchup. I'm definitely if I don't tune into anything else, I'm tuning into the intro of this game because I want to hear every person get booed in this lineup. Astros at Athletics, we got Zach Greinke, one-time AL Cy Young Award winner, 3-3 with a 4.03 ERA last year, versus Chris Bassett, who's 5-2 with a 2.29 ERA. The Oakland A's, I gotta say, since I've been alive and following baseball, the late '90s, early 2000s, these guys just produce pitching prospects. I don't get it. They had Tim Hudson, Barry Zito, and Mark Mulder all in the same rotation at one point, and all three of them ended up leaving at some point. But man, they just breed pitching talent. I don't get it. Must be something in the water out there in Oakland. But give me the Athletics here. One, because I really, really want the Astros to lose. And two, it's a road game for them. They were a terrible road team last year. They're going to be a terrible road team this year, especially with fans in the stands. And the A's just find ways to win games. Money ball. They're like the Rays. They don't have a high payroll, but they find ways to win. So go ahead and give me the Athletics. I'm going to say Greinke gets hit for 5 runs. So I'm going to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-3.
Okay. Yes, I'm totally with you. I'll be tuning into the intro of the game because as all of diehard baseball fans, we all want to boo the Astros right now, whether I'm on my couch doing it or whether I can go to a game this year at some point and do it in person. We're all looking forward to doing it. Greinke's not the same pitcher he used to be. It's cut and dry. Again, like you said, he's a former Cy Young winner. However, he's fallen off a cliff here the last couple of years, as you said, 3.3, 4.03. And Bassett, I didn't realize this kid was pitching as well as he is. 5-2,
Yeah.
29. So yeah, I'm also going Athletics. I think Greinke gets dinged for 4 or 5 runs himself before the bullpen gives up even more. So I'm going 7-2.
Yeah,
Athletics.
Matt Olson out there is no joke either. I know we're going to talk about AL MVP and whatnot later, but keep an eye on him. That dude's got a power stroke and he plays really good defense.
Yeah. So next game we got going on is the San Francisco Giants at the Seattle Mariners. We got Gosman for the Giants, 3-3, 362 versus Gonzalez of the Mariners at 7-2, 310. I think the home team takes this here mostly because they're the home team, in my opinion. I don't follow the Mariners too strongly. I do, and I'll touch on him a little bit later. Have one of their hopeful rookies this year on my document here. However, I don't follow them as well as I should, just like I should every other team. But I think the Mariners win basically solely on being the home team and the fact that Gonzalez is going to outdo Gosman. Give me a 4-3 win for the Mariners.
So this is going to be another one of those a little more high scoring matchups in my opinion, but I'm going to take the Giants. I love Kevin Gosman. I followed him at LSU. He's my favorite college pitcher ever. Him and Mark Appel, who's just now making his comeback. But I love Gosman. He had a renaissance last year as well. Versus Gonzalez, who's a good pitcher in his own right. However, Seattle has these tendencies to have these 20-win April seasons, and everybody thinks they're going to make the playoffs again. And then by the All-Star break, they're calling up all their top prospects because they're 4th in the division and they've won 20 games since April ended. So go ahead and give me the Giants. I'm going to say 7-6, somewhere in that neighborhood. I love Mike Yastrzemski. For those of you that don't know the name, he's the grandson of the former Red Sox and Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski, who played 20 years. And like I said, he was a Hall of Famer, so he's no slouch. Mike is really dinged up by the fact that they called him up really late. He's 30 years old now, and he's in his second full 162-game season. So unfortunate for him, but he can ball. He can really ball. So I'm looking forward to that. That being said, we're going to get into our most intriguing pitching matchups. We're each going to pick 3. I think we have a disagreement on one, but Bill, why don't you lead us off with who your number 1 is?
So my number 1 pitching matchup of the day. Now, again, if it's Strasburg versus DeGrom, I'm going higher on their matchup. However, my number 1 on the list is the Blue Jays and Yankees. Ryu 5-2, 269 versus Garrett Cole 7-3, 284. I think the numbers speak for themselves there. I think these are two really good pitchers, and I know that I said it was going to be a low-scoring game earlier, and I'm going to stand by that. I think that pitching duel matchup is going to be really good.
I agree. Hyun-Jin Ryu was an ace when he was with the Dodgers. He's the ace of the staff up there in Toronto for now, until the guy that you're going to touch on a little bit, Nate Pearson, makes his real arrival. Garrett Cole needs no introduction. Anybody who's watched a baseball game, with the Astros when they lost the World Series, he's with the Yankees now. they're both beasts. They're both going to duel. They're both going to pitch well. And if you think that this game is going to have a total of over 7 runs, I think you're crazy. That's not something that I would ever bet on. But you know what? That go for it if you think so. But I doubt it. This is the top pitching matchup of the day for me as well.
All right.
My second in the list is going to surprise some people. I'm not going to go DeGrom and Scherzer. I'm going Flaherty and Castillo. I believe that that'll be a very good pitching matchup as well. Like I said, Castillo, has one of the nastiest changeups in baseball. Jack Flaherty, one of the best young aces, top 5 pitcher in my opinion. He's got all the tools, and if he does not start out slow this year, we'll touch on it later. He's my Cy Young dark horse, but. Yeah, that's going to be, I'm thinking 3-2 in a launching pad of a ballpark. I mean, Great American Ballpark up there, it just gives up home runs like it's candy. It's like Oprah of stadiums. You have a home run, you have a home run. And I believe that that's going to be a low scoring affair with no home runs.
Okay. So my other one is going to be, and I know you guys are going to just say this is because I'm a Phillies fan, which is wonderful and everything. However, I don't know if you're a baseball fan, you look at these 2 names starting in Philadelphia tomorrow/today, and you don't think to yourself, wow, Max Fried and Aaron Nola isn't going to be a great pitching duel, because it is. They're going to duel it out. And like I said before, I think Nola comes out on top, but you're talking about a guy 2 years ago was 3rd in the NL Cy Young race behind a guy by the name of, Jacob deGrom. And if I'm not mistaken, Max Scherzer was the other guy. So I think Nola wins it, but I think that's a pitching matchup everybody who's a baseball fan should be checking out.
Yeah, 7-0. I don't care if you pitched 7 games or if it was 12 like Fried started. That undefeated record's hard to ignore. So I can definitely see where that would be your second, because that's going to be my third. Max Fried and Aaron Nola, excuse me. Yeah, like I said, I'm rooting for the home team, but really I'm just rooting for a really good pitching matchup. As a former pitcher myself, I'm biased to great pitching matchups. So go ahead and just pencil this in as my third favorite opening day matchup.
All right, my third favorite opening day matchup is a game that Ryan and I have gone back and forth on. The White Sox and Angels with Lucas Giolito and Bundy out there in Los Angeles. My reason behind this is, as I said, it's going to be such a good pitching duel that Ryan and I have switched our opinion on it in less than 35 minutes. So I think I'm going to tune into that. I'm going to watch that pitching duel. And like we said before, it's going to be a low scoring game. I just think Giolito comes out on top. Moving on from the intriguing pitching matchups, what we're going to do is first we're going to start with MVP of the AL and NL. But the way we're going to do it is we're going to choose the person we think for sure is going to win, and then we are going to give you our dark horse, which is somebody who comes in and seals it at not necessarily the last minute, but like a name that you're not thinking of right now that it's going to come up later. So Ryan, who wins your NL MVP and who's your dark horse?
So the winner of the NL MVP, and he's going to compete with his teammate. I have Cody Bellinger, and obviously you'll touch on his teammate when we get to your turn. But Cody Bellinger, the dude's a 5-tool player, man, especially moving to the outfield from first base. Now he finally gets to show off his arm and his speed a little bit. And he's just an all-around baller. The guy can hit 45 home runs, drive in 130 runs. He can hit 300. He can take the walk. And he's just an imposing figure. I remember early on in his career in the playoffs, he would struggle a lot. I think he hit like under 200 his first appearances in the postseason. So go ahead and pencil me in for Bellinger. However, excuse me, my dark horse in the NL might surprise some people. It might not. This guy's garnered some MVP candidate talk before, and that's Paul Goldschmidt. I think the addition of Nolan Arenado and protecting him in this lineup is huge. He's going to draw the walks. He's going to see better pitches. People are going to want to pitch to him and not Arenado. So I think he, comes out 35, 40 home runs potentially. The 100 RBIs is not out of question. 100 walks. Goldschmidt's always had a great eye. And he's hit 300 before. And if he can get off to a fast start, maybe he does it again. So that's my dark horse. Keep an eye on Paul Goldschmidt.
Okay. My overall winner, so you took Cody Bellinger. I'm going with his teammate, Mookie Betts. In a 2020 shortened season, he had 16 home runs, which is, third in the majors. He had a 292 average, 39 RBIs. He's just a guy who's produced since he came up, and I think he's going to continue to do it. And I think he's my NL MVP at this point in time. Now, my dark horse. Look, you guys are going to start getting on me in the comments about constantly going with Phillies, but I want to explain my logic here. My dark horse is my logic here is JT Realmuto is my dark horse, and the reason for that being he's just signed the 5-year contract for the Philadelphia Phillies. I know he's a little bit older as a catcher, and we don't know how much more time he has on his legs. But when I look at MVPs, I'm looking at an individual that really is the most valuable player on that team, what they do for that team to help them win. And I think, the Phillies have a shot at making the playoffs. And if they do it, I think JT Realmuto is an extremely large part of that. So my dark horse MVP of the season this year is JT Realmuto.
And that's a good dark horse. I just want to add something real quick. It's hard for catchers to win awards like that. They tend not to play as many games as the other positions because catchers have the wear and tear. So if he can play 140, 145 games, maybe, and that's not unrealistic. JT is a great athlete. He's in great shape. That dude could probably play any sport. I know he was recruited in college to play quarterback, ended up being a catcher. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but because of that game differential between catchers and other positions, it's hard. But I like that pick. Moving on to AL MVP, there's some guy in LA. He's named after a fish. You might have heard of him. His name does not come off the top of my head. What's his name, Bill?
I think it's Bass.
Yeah, Anthony Bass for the Texas Rangers. That's right. No, obviously this is an award that you should definitely be paying Mike Trout to win. And if he's not in your top 3, I want whatever you're on. Yeah, Mike Trout. Okay, cool. We're moving to the dark horse. The dark horse for AL MVP for me is JD Martinez. If Boston can launch themselves back into the playoffs without Chris Sale being there most of the season, JD Martinez is going to have a huge hand in it. I see 35 home runs, 100 plus RBIs again. The dude hits over 300. He's just a good hitter. Now, the only thing that hurts him is he's a DH, so he doesn't play the field, but nobody really cares about that anymore. So, yeah, JD Martinez, I think, is my dark horse pick.
Okay, AL MVP, Mike Trout. Just going to move past that, everything Ryan just said. My dark horse is actually his teammate, Shohei Ohtani. So those of you who don't know, Shohei Ohtani is a two-way player. That means that he is a pitcher. He's a starting pitcher, which is big. And in addition to that, he's a fielder. So the reason I think he could be our dark horse MVP for the AL is because if he comes out and he wins 14 or more games pitching with a sub-4 ERA, and he hits 20 to 25 home runs and the 80 to 90 range RBI, which will be tough if he's not batting while he's on the hill. And I totally understand that. But I think if he can get somewhere in those ranges, there's no reason not to take him over Mike Trout. That would literally be the form of everything I can do to help my team win. So if I realize it's a big if, but my point stands, my dark horse is Shohei Ohtani.
I would have agreed with you had he proven he can stay healthy. If he stays healthy and produces like that, I agree. We got the next.
All that comes in, yes.
Not the same talent level, but it's similar to Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth did it when he was with the Boston Red Sox before he got traded to the Yankees. Curse of the Bambino. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. Moving on to NL and AL Cy Young, same setup. We're going to pick our winners, and then a name you guys aren't really thinking of right now, especially for Bill, because I know a lot of you don't even think about this dude's name. I'm going to go NL Cy Young first. Bill, who you think's going to win?
For my NL Cy Young, I have, and I've already touched on this, if you don't have Jacob deGrom inked in on your top 2, you're making a mistake. So I'm actually just going to take him to win my NL Cy Young. The resume is there. I don't really want to go into it too much, but the man constantly comes out and puts his team in a position to win, even when they aren't scoring runs. There's my answer on that. Now, my dark horse here is a guy who's just signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He will be likely the third person in their rotation. It has not been confirmed, but he's likely to be the third person in the rotation. And a guy by the name of Trevor Bauer. Year after year after year, he puts his team in position to win just by being himself. Also, I love his energy. Remember a couple of years back when he threw the ball over center field fence in Cleveland? Man, that was intense. I love that. But anyway, yeah, so Trevor Bauer is my dark horse to win NL Cy Young. What do you got?
Yeah, he definitely didn't come out of that game because his arm was tired. For those of you that don't know, Terry Francona, the manager of the Indians, was going to pull Trevor Bauer out of a game, and he turned around from the mound and launched the ball over the center field wall and cleared it by like 20 feet. So it was quite impressive. I mean, you should probably act a little bit more professional, but that was cool to watch. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, as far as NL Cy Young Award goes, uh, there's so many good names in the NL. I'm going to start with my dark horse, though. I went back and forth between two guys. One was Jack Flaherty, and the other was this person. But overall, I think this guy's team is just better, and I think they're going to win more games. And that's Yu Darvish. I believe that the Padres, are just going to win 90, 95-ish games, and Darvish is going to really benefit from being in a pitcher's ballpark. And the Padres play great defense. Jake Cronenworth and Fernando Tatis Jr. should be up the middle for a very long time. Hosmer's an underrated defender, and Manny Machado has won multiple Gold Gloves. We don't need to talk about him as much defensively. So go ahead and pencil me in. Yu Darvish as my dark horse. And my winner is going to be Walker Buehler. I know you talk about Jacob deGrom a lot, but I believe that his team not being as good as Buehler's will hinder him a little bit. Buehler could win 20 games. He may be the number 2 or the number 3. I haven't seen any news on whether Bauer's the 2 or the 3. So flip-flop them. Either way, they're both number 1s on most other staffs, and they're going to be competing against 2s and 3s with a lineup that is definitely going to support them in runs, which may also hurt their chances at a Cy Young. But if you win 20 games and you have sub 2.4 ERA, I mean, it's kind of hard to ignore. So go ahead and pencil me in. Walker Buehler is the winner. Yu Darvish as my dark horse candidate.
All right. For my NL, I'm sorry, we just did NL. Let's go to the AL now. AL Cy Young Award winner. I got Garrett Cole doing it. I know Bieber won it last year, and Bieber has the resume that backs up that he could probably repeat on it. However, I'm going to pick Garrett Cole. I think the Yankees lineup is going to be able to support him to a point where he's not going to have to worry too much about being super precise, which a lot of times with pitchers is actually a negative slight. Mentally, it gets in your head when you have to be perfect all the time. So I think the Yankees give him enough runs for him to win somewhere around 22 games this year, and I think he gets the win in the AL Cy Young. My dark horse is a guy who's not even starting. Well, he's hurt right now, but he should be back by May. He's a young kid on the Blue Jays pitching staff by the name of Nate Pearson. Kid stands at 6'6", 250 pounds, throws hard, has a great slider. So if he comes back and he's healthy and he shows what he showed in the minors, I 100% believe that he could be the dark horse and win the AL Cy Young.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the Toronto Blue Jays are playing their home games in their spring training stadium in Florida. And I'm pretty sure Nate Pearson showed up in Florida looking for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he wanted to try out as a linebacker, but I think he ended up in the wrong place and just threw 100 miles an hour with a wicked curveball. But yeah, I like Nate Pearson's future. And if he comes back before May or even early May, that's let's see how the young kid does. That may not surprise me. Nate Pearson's got all the tools to be a great pitcher in the MLB. My AL Cy Young Award winner, I know you just touched on Cole, and I feel like this is a 1-2 scenario again, but go ahead and pencil me and Shane Bieber back-to-back. I mean, 8-1 with a 1.63 ERA. That's not just a hot start. That's a third of a baseball season right there. That's 8-1 with a 1.63. And in a division that's going to be competitive, I think the bottom of that division has some very weak lineups that he's going to feast on. And even the top of the division, these are guys that he's pitched against quite a few times. He's seen Jose Abreu for years. So go ahead and give me Shane Bieber to repeat. Garrett Cole's obviously not out of the question. My dark horse, though, is Lucas Giolito, same division, Chicago White Sox. I think he takes the necessary step forward to improve his game. He's 4-3 last year. But the White Sox are young, they're good, and they can support him absolutely. So don't be surprised if Giolito gets some votes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Giolito's a good pitcher as well, yes. We're going to move on to who wins the NL and AL Rookie of the Year. Same situation, winner and dark horse. I'm going to let you go first because I want to talk a little bit about my dark horse.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I have the AL Rookie of the Year award going to Randy Arozarena. I believe that's pronounced. I know a couple of my buddies follow him real good. They'll probably tell me that I screwed that up. That's fine. This dude set all kinds of postseason records last year. He came over in a trade from the Cardinals, and this dude just absolutely raked every pitch that was thrown his way in the postseason last year. Really single-handedly kept the Rays lineup in it. There were some struggling bats in that lineup, and they managed to take that series to 6 games. I think he hit like 7 or 8 home runs between the CS and the World Series. So this dude was on fire. And my dark horse candidate is a pitcher. I may be biased toward my pitcher fellows, but go ahead and give me Tristan McKenzie, a young guy up there in Cleveland. And if Bieber pitches well and the Indians are competitive in that division, they're going to have to get all hands on deck. And Tristan McKenzie has all the tools to be successful in the MLB. So go ahead and pencil Tristan McKenzie in as my dark horse winner for AL Rookie of the Year.
Okay. I can see both of those. My winner for AL Rookie of the Year is Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles. He played 35 games last year for the Orioles and really showed that he belongs in the big leagues. And I think that he takes a full season and steps forward even more. Again, that team's not going to be good, but he's going to have an opportunity to shine on that bad team. I think he very well could be the front runner for the AL Rookie of the Year. My dark horse is a kid who's not even starting the season in the big leagues. Child by the name of Jared Kelenic. And if I pronounce that incorrectly, I want to apologize also. However, this is a 5-tool player. It's a kid who hit 23 home runs with 68 RBIs in the minors last year, but in addition, he had 20 stolen bases. He can hit for power. He can hit for average, as he hit he had a 364 OBP and a slugging percentage of 540. He can run. Again, 20 stolen bases in a shortened season, 20 stolen bases. And this is just a situation where I'm excited to see this kid play simply because of what I believe that he has to offer. And I think that, as Ryan stated earlier, once the Mariners win 20 games in April and then they win 20 between, then and the All-Star break, that we're going to see him in the middle of the season. And if he performs the way that I think he can perform and the way that he has performed in the minors, there's no reason for him not to win NL Rookie of the Year. Or AL Rookie of the Year. I get those mixed up constantly. I apologize, everybody. For the NL, who do you have?
We agree on this one. Dylan Carlson, St. Louis Cardinals, he should have an opportunity to be a full-time player right off the bat. I like his tools. I like what he brings to the table. He's a true athlete. He hits the ball very well. He sees the ball very well. And he runs, pretty well. And he's got protection in his lineup. Like I mentioned earlier, Goldschmidt, Arenado, DeYoung, Edman, there's hitters all over that lineup. And I think that'll really benefit him, coming up to bat with runners on base and being put in a position to be successful. So, and he doesn't have to start at the top of the lineup right away, like, a lot of rookies do, like a Kelenic might, because the lineup's so thin. So I think with less pressure and more opportunities to succeed, go ahead and give me Dylan Carlson. My dark horse candidate, again, I'm a pitcher guy, so don't mind my bias. Ian Anderson of the Braves. Once Mike Soroka comes back, Ian Anderson will probably slot in as the number 3 pitcher. And this dude has wicked stuff. I mean, he's got a great changeup as well. Throws a nice fastball with a little bit of tailing action. I watched him pitch a couple times last year, and this guy's going to be a very successful pitcher. It's going to remind a lot of people of the Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox era in a couple of years when Soroka, Fried, and Anderson all grow up and finally become adults who are all like in their mid-20s finally. So I like Ian Anderson as my dark horse candidate for NL Rookie of the Year.
All right, yeah, as you already touched on, Dylan Carlson, I'm not going to feed too much into that. You had a lot to say about that, which is wonderful. But I do believe that he'll be the Rookie of the Year in the NL as well. However, my dark horse is going to be Sixto Sanchez, the guy that the Marlins picked up from the Philadelphia Phillies for JT Realmuto, which is another reason the Realmuto signing was so huge for the Phillies. But we'll get past that. So Sixto Sanchez last year in 7 games, 33 strikeouts, only 15 earned runs. He was 3-2 with a 121 WHIP and a 3.46 ERA. He's a guy that's going to be good. He's going to be good. He's starting the season in Jacksonville, which is the Marlins minor league affiliate, because he had a false positive COVID test at the beginning of camp, so he didn't get as many innings in as he needed to. But I believe that Sixto Sanchez is my dark horse for the Rookie of the Year.
That's okay. Most people can't say that name 10 times fast. I like the pick. I do. We'll see at what point he comes back. Shouldn't be more than a couple of weeks at most, especially with the way the Marlins schedule is set up. I think they can run a 4-man rotation for the first couple of weeks due to their off days. But yeah, I agree. That's not a bad pick at all either. He balled out last year. Dude's got all the talent in the world. I'm hoping, since 1, we traded him away, and 2, he's in the same division, I hope that he has like a 6 ERA and that you're completely wrong and that he's out of baseball by next year. But that's beside the point. We're going to move on to NL and AL Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to do the NL, and I'm not going to touch a whole lot on it because Bill wants to do the AL, and his pick is, we got a lot to say about this guy. My NL pick is Gregory Polanco. He's had a couple injuries last few years, but this dude has all the tools to succeed, even being in a bad Pittsburgh team. I think he could even help Bryant Hayes if he starts to hit the ball, left-handed bat with some pop. He's got some speed. He's got the arm to play right field. And at one point, they formed the most formidable trio of outfielders with Andrew McCutchen, Starling Marte, and him out there. So I think that he can have this bounce back year. And once he bounces back from these injuries and down seasons, he'll win this NL Comeback Player of the Year award. But why don't you tell us about AL?
Yeah, I do agree for Polanco in the NL. However, for my AL Comeback Player of the Year, we touched very briefly on this a couple weeks ago. Trey Mancini is a player on the Baltimore Orioles who unfortunately last year missed the entire shortened season. He's a right fielder, entire shortened season because he had colon cancer and wasn't able to play. Again, we've discussed this a little bit. Simply on the fact that he's coming back from colon cancer, I believe that he'll be the Comeback Player of the Year. But let's not put down what he does as a player. In his career, he's got 86 home runs. He averages just about 26 home runs a season. He's got 238, and I mean it's only a 3-season career. He's got 238 RBIs across his career, averaging somewhere around 80, 85. And he's a guy who can, when he's healthy, play 150, 160 games a season. So I think, again, that Orioles team is not going to be good. However, I think he has an opportunity to win Comeback Player of the Year simply because of the colon cancer, but also because of what he's going to be able to do on the field. The Orioles, again, aren't going to be good, but if they win 65, 70 games, it'll be because of Trey Mancini.
Yeah, I agree with that pick 100%. Some things are just bigger than baseball, and this is one of them. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is
who wins Manager of the Year awards. We agree on the AL, so we're not going to touch too much on it, but we are going to talk about our dark horses.
Let's say it at the same time on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Tony La Russa. Yeah. Look, Tony La Russa is the new coach of the young White Sox team. Everywhere he's gone, he's won. We don't really need to touch on it too much. Ryan, if you want to, you can, but again, Tony La Russa is probably going to win the AL unless the White Sox completely fall on their face. Tony La Russa is going to win AL Manager of the Year. Tell me about your
Tom Brady. Yeah. This is like Tom Brady showing up to the Bucks. Right guy, right place. Next.
Who's your dark horse? And then I'll go into mine.
Dark horse for the AL or?
Well, you can take the AL. I'll take the
NL. You said you'll take the NL?
I'll take the NL, and I'm only going to do a dark horse in the NL.
Yeah, I'm going to do a dark horse only in the NL too, just because I think that there's nobody else I could think of that would even compete for that title, really, unless the Blue Jays, outperform my expectations drastically. I don't think there's really any other teams that could surprise too much. But my dark horse in the NL is Jace Tingler for the Padres. The Padres team is young. They are very talented. And if they can somehow pull out a division win or even, keep within 3 games and win the wild card game, win a playoff series or something, it's got to be Jace Tingler. He'll be leading them in the right direction if they produce those kinds of results.
Yeah, I agree with that. My dark horse for the NL, and you guys are, again, going to get on me in the comments, which is fine and dandy. However, hear me out. Hear me out. Joe Girardi is my dark horse NL Manager of the Year pick. The reason for that is I believe the Phillies could be – they're going to win more than 85 games. I think I said that the other day. They're going to win more than 85 games. They are going to compete for a playoff spot. I think that if they do get into the playoffs and if they win the wild card game, I don't see why there's any reason not to take Joe Girardi. Look, they had the worst bullpen in baseball last year. Ryan said it on our previous podcast. They led the exact same amount of games as the Dodgers did last year, and their bullpen blew it. With the new added help in the bullpen, I don't see why they wouldn't win more games. And because of that, I'm picking Joe Girardi as my dark horse NL Manager of the Year.
Well, I would have agreed with you before you named Hector Neris the closer. Don't worry, though. As long as he pitches just as bad as he did last year, it won't last very long.
Yeah, and in that sense, you kind of want him to pitch that bad, but you don't want to lose the games. But let's.
Hector Neris, man, geez. It's got to be an experience thing, right? Because he's filled the role before.
I don't know. We can discuss this off camera, but
we'll discuss off there. But yeah, I like that pick. And my winner for the NL is going to be Brian Snitker. I'll get a little bit more into it when we get into our division and World Series predictions. You guys will understand why. But Brian Snitker, heads that young team down there in Atlanta, and they're talented. He's got them winning the division by 10 plus games, in my opinion. And like I said, I'll get a little bit more into it when I get into the division and or championship series and World Series predictions.
Which we're doing now.
Absolutely. So I will start off with who I think will be in the ALCS and why. So mind you, we're going to be keeping in mind with our seedings and who's going to be playing who. So I do have the Yankees, the top seed in the AL, winning over 100 games, supporting the AL in the AL Championship Series. I also have the Minnesota Twins coming out of the number 3 spot. I think they're the number 3 spot, one, because their division's a little bit more competitive with the White Sox and the Indians than the A's have with maybe the Angels. And that being said, I also think that's why they win, is because I think they are a better team. They'll just be, hindered, quote unquote, by being in a tougher division. So go ahead and give me the Twins and the Yankees showing up in the ALCS. And I go back and forth. You could ask me tomorrow, and maybe I'll have an upset feeling, but give me the Yankees in 6 there.
Okay, so for my AL, I also have the Yankees. However, I have the White Sox as my number 2 seed in the AL, and I have them going into the ALCS against the Yankees. I just don't think they're going to get it done, regardless of how great of a coach Tony La Russa is. I just think the Yankees have so much firepower on that team that they're going to the World Series. Now, having said that, I also believe that the Yankees win in 6 in that series. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and if the White Sox end up pulling out that division over the Twins, where I have the Twins winning, then I could see that happening for sure. It should, we'll kind of label it as AL Central winner versus Yankees. The wild card teams in the AL won't be good enough, and the A's just have a habit of losing in the division series. Go see Moneyball if you haven't. It's a really good movie. It's probably my favorite of all time. Moving on to the NL, the CS. For the NL, I have. So the Dodgers are my 1 seed. I have the Braves at 2. I have the Cardinals at 3 and the Padres at 4. And I think they win the wild card game against the Phillies or the Nationals, whoever represents over there. But go ahead and give me the Padres upsetting the Dodgers in the DS. And then they see the Braves in the CS. And I think the Braves win that one. So go ahead and give me Braves, Padres with the Braves representing the World Series on the NL side.
How many games?
7.
Okay, so good championship series there.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it anyways, postseason baseball, but I would watch the heck out of that.
All right, I, unlike you, don't believe the Padres will get past the Dodgers in the DS. So I've got the Dodgers in the NLCS. I do have the Braves as my number 2 in the NL. So I've got the Braves going on to play the Dodgers in the NLCS. However, I think the Dodgers take it in 7 games and go to the World Series. My World Series prediction between the Dodgers and Yankees is 7 games, Dodgers back-to-back.
It's so hard to repeat as champions, though. And I got to say, if the Braves make it there, even against the Yankees, I don't think that they lose. I know they're a young team too, and I stated, a couple of weeks ago when we did our MLB show that, young teams kind of have to prove it, but they're also a young team with some experience. Acuna is not a rookie anymore. Soroka pitched, last year. Granted, he's starting out the year hurt, but that could be a helpful thing because they're saving his arm. Max Fried is coming off a year where he was fantastic. We talked about that. So that they're young, but they're not inexperienced. Their bullpen's still pretty good, and they got bats all up and down that lineup. So I don't know. That would be another 7-game series, and obviously something I would watch. But I could see the Braves pulling out the World Series, and I hate picking back-to-back World Series winners. You could be right, but it's just so hard to do.
I got you. I hear you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, with that, I believe we are going to sign off here. As always, please like us, follow us. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook at BSing Sports. Go to our YouTube page. Please subscribe. Every single thing that you guys do helps. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. All we need is 5 minutes and a subscribe.
and give us some feedback too, guys. If you want to ask either one of us a sports question or whatever it is you guys want, don't be hesitant. Don't be afraid. We're not here to bash opinions. We're just here to talk sports. It's what we do. BS about it.
All right. This has been BSing Sports. Have a great day.
Another